This is the 62nd episode of CloudFocus Weekly for the third week of September 2011. This episode is titled Winter is Upon Us. CloudFocus Weekly is sponsored by Arkus, your cloud community experts. And I'm your host, Jason Atwood. Joining me, co-host, 62 times in a row, in his green attire, like a leprechaun.
Do you see what this says?
Yes.
It says the Jamaican bobsled team on it.
It does say the Jamaican bobsled.
I got this in Jamaica.
You did?
In the airport. Because I didn't get anything in Jamaica, so I had to get it at the airport. Anyway, thanks for blowing up my spot on my attire.
That's fine. I wasn't going to talk about your golf pants.
I love my golf pants. I have golf pants and a green shirt.
I've heard from friends and family and fans of ours that it's all about the banter. So if our banter isn't going at full steam, then it's no good. So we got some news. We got some Facebook news and reactions. We got some Netflix news. We got some Google news. And then we have some Salesforce news, including some deep talk, we're going to put at the end, about some Winter 12. We might actually cover this in more than one podcast because it is a lot of stuff. It was 124 pages for the release notes.
There's a lot. There's big release notes. I wrote a blog about it. We'll cover that too.
So we'll do that. And then, of course, we'll end up with our CloudFocus app pick of the week. So stay tuned for all of that.
Mine's a guest pick.
A guest pick?
Yeah, someone picked it for me on Twitter.
Wow.
Said, hey, this could be a CloudFocus app pick of the week, so I'm using it.
That's good.
I tried it. Works great.
Good. Well, then we'll talk about that at the end. Let's start off with Facebook.
Go for it.
Two pieces of news for Facebook. One, they just, I think yesterday or 2 days ago, they launched sort of a new change to the UI. I'm
opening Facebook right now.
I'm not...
so I could see what's going on here.
Yep, you have it.
We got recent stories at the top. We got things it thinks we might really like at the top.
I don't think you have the new version.
I do. I totally do.
Oh yeah, you do. You have the top stories.
I have the top stories.
What it does is it puts it's doing a little bit of analysis and putting people in your sort of center feed based on these top stories. So it's things that it thinks you're going to want, and then it puts this other feed on the side, which is sort of more of everything. People commenting on stuff. It's sort of like a feed within a feed. Someone called this feedception. I've seen a lot of jokes about. I've seen a lot of exhibit jokes because of you like something, put something inside something. It's interesting. I'm not really going to give a review of a social network's new interface because I don't think it's that big of a deal. I've seen them do this over the time. I more really want to talk about sort of change in websites and change in social networks and how people sort of seem to react to it, because I very close friends of mine who spend, I think, way too much time on Facebook, no judgment, we're all up in arms, like, oh, Facebook's a change, and I can't take it, and I want to say, and they're like, why can't they just bundle up all these changes into one big release and do it once? And immediately I actually started off joking with them, and then I went into serious mode. I'm like, no, the reason they do this is because it's easier for people to take small bits of changes over a period of time than it is one big set of changes. That's been shown to be true. It's easier to develop that way. They're probably using Agile. I don't know if they are, but they're probably using Agile methodology, so they're probably doing iterations. And it's easier to iterate on software than it is to do big waterfall releases, and that's why they're doing it. And then my comment was, well, if you're, this is a social networking site. It's supposed to be cutting edge. It's supposed to be the newest thing. It's going to change. It's going to keep changing. And if you don't like the change... I said this to my wife. I said, turn off your computer and go for a walk, because that's what this is going to be about. Twitter's going to be changing. Facebook's going to be changing. All these things are just constantly changing. If they're not changing, they're dying.
Yeah, it's totally true.
So I'm not,
I'm looking at my Facebook, and all I'm seeing are stories about F8, which I guess is going on, their big conference.
And that'd be the other big news, which is is it one per year, F7, F8, F9?
I'm assuming that's how it works.
So
I can't honestly say
their conference is literally going on right now, so we can't really talk too much about it because things are just being released. We know about one thing.
Well, we've seen some things called timeline profiles, which are supposed to enhance your profile, change it even more.
Right.
Sort of ties into the change. They just made a change and people are up in arms about it, and now they're going to change everything even more. I'm just reading through things that are just popping up into my feed. Spotify's coming to Facebook, so you can listen to your music within Facebook via Spotify.
Fine.
Interesting. They're innovating, right?
Yeah.
They're moving things forward. It's just like anything else that's successful. If you stay where you're at, you're a Friendster or you're MySpace. Or you're not, and you're Facebook.
And they could possibly change themselves out of being relevant. I mean, they're at kind of a point where they're so relevant that it's hard to change yourself out of it. But hey, listen, this is what Apple does, 3 to 4 times a year. This is what Salesforce does. What people do, it's like, yeah, we're going to keep changing and keep whatever. I would say for people who don't like change, technology is probably not the place you should be spending your time. Because that is sort of the thing with technology.
What are you talking about?
Like, if you don't like change, don't get into technology. Like, it's like a kitchen. Kitchens don't change that often. That's why a knife now and a knife 10 years ago probably do the same roughly thing. They don't have LED lights on it. Technology is something that's always changing and always going to change.
Technology, though.
It is like cutting technology. So, I don't know. I always get kind of a little bit annoyed when everybody starts throwing up their arms about, a new feed on Facebook, like it's changed,
It confused me a little, but then I was like, oh, okay, I get it.
They also spend months writing the little pop-ups and help that everybody totally dismisses the minute they log in.
Very true.
Well, spend the 5 minutes to figure out what it is that they've changed.
Spend a better way figuring out how to tell people about things. I gotta be honest, those things, Salesforce does them, I just click right off them.
Well then, yeah, but that's the way to tell you.
No, that's a crappy way to tell me, because...
What's a better way?
Not for me to figure out. That's for the geniuses who do these things.
You can say something's crappy, you have to say what's good.
I don't have to say what's good. I can say what's not good.
Well, what's a way that you like being told about a change?
I don't know. It hasn't happened yet.
So no one's told you about a change that you liked?
I just figured them out, I guess, on my own.
So no one's ever said it?
I don't know. I just read a release
impossible.
notes document from Salesforce. That's not the way to tell end users.
124 pages.
But I guarantee you, if they did some analyses, most people just hit the X button, as opposed to hitting the play or walk through button.
Yep.
I can't tell you what the good answer is, but I can tell you what doesn't work, because clearly this is
actually the best way to do it, is embed it into the product.
Well, you can't say it's the best. It's the best right now, perhaps?
I've been around software for 20-something years. I've watched everything. I've watched every kind of things. I've done everything from...
Listen, Clippy.
Pre-release news. I've read... I've done beta stuff. I've done all of that. The only thing I think Facebook doesn't do is kind of give you a little pre-shot of it. To say, like, Google's gotten very good at, here's a good way to do it. Google, when they're introducing a new interface, they usually make it available for a while. So you can gradually get into it if you want. And they usually let you, like right now, Analytics. There's 2 interfaces now. You can jump in and out of the 2, and it says new interface at the top, or jump back to old interface. And allows you to use the 2 of them. Sometimes I ignore it. Sometimes I jump in. I go, oh, this is weird, and I jump back.
Yeah, they do that in docs, too.
But when I have the time, and I'm feeling adventurous or whatever, I'm like, okay, let me go jump in. Like, now I'm into the new interface on Analytics, and I'm staying there because I'm not going back. Eventually, the old one will go away. So there's a good way to do it, which is to tell you that there's new stuff, allow you some time to jump into it, if you want into it, and eventually kill out the old stuff.
There you go.
So there you go.
There you go. You just solved it.
Right. Facebook's a little bit more blunt. They don't even, not that I want them sending me emails. Actually, Facebook is, that's a good point. Have you ever received an email from Facebook alone?
No. I've gotten, messages, at the top of your
messages,
stream.
Whatever. But I'm saying, an email marketing message.
Nope. And
Amazing.
they know my email.
Well, clearly.
That's one thing, actually, just to drag us down a short rat hole of, when Mark Benioff's on the stage at the Salesforce conventions and at Dreamforce, and he's doing that slide that says social networking users have surpassed email users. That doesn't actually make sense to me. Does that mean in total, if you add up every single social network ever, and because I'm part of 7 of them, I count 7 times? Because in order to get onto a social network, you sort of need an email address.
I think it's usage. What he's showing is the amount of time people spend doing.
He's showing users when he's showing that slide.
I don't know if you can sign up for any of this without
if
email.
You're talking about email, I count more times than I count for my social networking. Of
course.
I have 12 email accounts.
You're atypical. You're a Luddite, and you apparently can't figure out a way to be told about release notes. So
I read them with my eyes.
Your 124
and my IQ.
And your IQ. All right. Yeah, I don't know. I think it's usage though. I don't think it's
users. It's
All
like
right.
he's always makes a big deal. Social networking users have surpassed the number of email users. I say impossible.
Well, Facebook alone, you cannot sign up for Facebook without an email address.
Or Twitter.
Or Google Plus.
There you go.
MySpace, maybe.
So maybe it means like you have all three. You count 3 times. You use the same email address, so that only counts once.
Yeah,
That's
maybe.
fuzzy math, if you ask me.
Maybe it's adding up Twitter plus Facebook. Twitter plus Facebook plus Google Plus. If I had one email address, that's one, but I have all 3 accounts plus
Right.
Foursquare. Then I have 4 accounts in social. Maybe.
That's fuzzy.
Yeah, whatever.
Doesn't seem right.
Other news. Other companies,
news.
I think, doing some pretty stupid things.
Moving right along.
Moving right along.
Well, we didn't say Facebook was doing anything
No,
stupid.
I didn't think this was
They're
doing
just
stupid.
changing things. But
I would say the only thing that I think Facebook has to sort of consider in this path is if you get too far outside of your own. I said this about everybody, including Apple, including Salesforce, all the companies that I love and hold true. You get too there's a time in your life when you get too outside of your own vision and you start to move to another vision, and like it disrupts who you are as a company. You know, Facebook getting into music. I actually like that Facebook's doing things like Skype and Spotify as opposed to building themselves.
Yeah, plug in someone who already does it.
But last year, their big announcement at D7 or whatever it was, D8, F8 was
F7.
F7.
This is 8. I'm assuming that was 7.
Whatever.
We don't know.
Don't care. Was the messaging? That was the big thing?
That was like, this is going to change your world. And I don't even, is it out there?
Yeah, no, that's all. It's all there. You got your personal email address. You can email back and forth into it.
I think the messenger on the phone is the bigger thing.
Well, that is.
I guess that's what it is.
That was it.
Because people,
But
I
that
get like
changed your
text notifications like, "Hey, you're on Facebook chat," and I'm like, "No, I'm on my phone, and you just texted me, sorta." Oh, it like makes you show up in chat. Anyway,
Facebook also does a lot of things where they just turn stuff on and like take the bumps for it after. Like they turned on the, everybody, like when you sign in, you're automatically signed into chat, and you kind of had to turn it off. They do that type of stuff, which Google, I think, is better at not doing. Oh, they did it with Google+.
They just did the lists too, the friend lists.
That's true. They just do lists,
like circles.
Which is like circles. I started using it. I don't know.
I don't care. I already have my Facebook set up the way I wanted to.
Social circles are there.
Yeah.
Well, it did some automatic thing. It put your best friends, put your family, it did some automatic thing.
Based on like commenting and liking and such.
Well, family's easy. Last name, Anyway, some really interesting SQL queries in that one. So let's talk about Netflix. So Netflix...
I don't know much about this. I got an email.
I got an email.
That's all I know.
Did you read the email?
I read the email.
What did the email tell you?
The email told me that they're splitting 2 services.
Yeah,
there's going to be DVDs in the mail, and there's going to be streaming on your TV or your computer or your phone or whatever.
Right. So basically, this has been happening for the last 6 or so months, probably more, maybe more like a year. The streaming business is outgrowing the DVD business.
Duh.
No crap. Right, so they've now changed the pricing twice or 3 times in a year. It was all in, then they split out the pricing, and now 2 months after splitting out the pricing, they're splitting the company in 2. So they're making a company called Quickster with its own website that's going to do DVDs and games. So they're actually adding in games, which is going to take on
the physical media website.
Yes.
Quickster.
And then they're doing Netflix, which makes sense. Streaming Netflix is going to do the streaming. To me, and I've been a Netflix, 7 years, long time. I was all in them from the beginning. To me, this is kind of like the end of my relationship with Netflix, the physical media. I could care less anymore. Like, physical media is impossible. If you'd kept it as sort of adding in the unlimited, DVDs and stuff, or the having 1 or 2, because I'd take some stuff that I want, but maybe kids shows. Now I'm like, way too much hassle. Now it's another website, another hassle. I've now been looking around for other alternatives, including Redbox, which is one right across the street from us, where you can get Blu-ray. Oh, they charge more for Blu-ray to it, Netflix. I signed up for Blu-ray. It's another $2 a month to get Blu-ray.
Do your queues split at this point? Because you
have a combined queue.
I'm actually only a streaming customer.
Right.
I've never actually been a customer of the physical disc.
Yeah.
So I've only ever experienced it from a streaming perspective. There are things that do bother me, like the fact that I can't get things in the streaming that I can get with the physical disc. they don't put everything on the streaming service, which is annoying.
It's not them, you know that. It's the media.
Well,
it's companies.
I take it out on them.
Well, it's a movie theater not wanting, because there's this whole path to releasing a movie and TV shows, and they basically want to get the most money for something at the highest level. The most money they can get out of you as a consumer is for you to just pop down your $14.50 in New York City and go see the theater.
See it, then I can go buy it on the disc, then I can rent it.
I think they then throw it to like the movies, hotels, the hotel chains, like that they can pre-rental stuff.
And the
then they do
then
they do cable where you can do the rental, like the on demand. Then they do disc. And that disc and iTunes come out at the same time.
I think the disc comes out when it's available on demand. Like, there's no way that they would put it on demand before you could go to Best Buy and buy a DVD.
I think actually there is. I know there's with the movie with the airplane and the movies that hotels. I know they have a window.
Those are before, but I don't think the on demand on your basic cable box can do it. But anyway, regardless,
then it goes on a disc.
But if I could get the disc, meaning if I could say, "Hey, Netflix, as a service, as a company, Netflix, I can get this from you. Why can't I get it from you in the way I want to get it from you?"
That's because the movie.
That's the annoying part.
The movie theater is saying, the movie company who owns the rights to that media is saying, I'm not going to release it on the thing that I get paid a cent for, when I can still make money on the thing that I'm still being paid for.
That's the annoying part, is that I can get it from Netflix, but not the way I want to get it.
Right.
And if I can get it, I want to get it the way I want to get it.
Now you won't be able to say that anymore. Because you'll say, I can only get it from Netflix because Netflix is streaming, or I get it from Quickster, this other company.
No, I'm not doing that. I've never done Netflix physical discs anyway, so why would I do that? But
it's nice to be like, I like Netflix on Blu-ray coming to me right now.
That's fantastic. So I like Netflix for watching old series of television shows that are still available. Occasionally I'll stumble upon a movie here or there that's streaming, but most of the time they don't have the newer releases.
Nope.
Like I'm on my Apple TV anyway. I flip over and I'm like, oh, here's all these like new releases. I'll just rent it.
Right, because you can rent it for $4.99 on Apple TV.
Right.
Right. When you stream something from Netflix, the movie company probably gets 25 cents or 10 cents or something so small, and that's why they're not there. Plus, there's places like Hulu, which are taking all the current episodes of stuff. So, like, basically Netflix doesn't get things until they're sort of disc and beyond. So, like, TV shows don't show up until they're been packaged in a disc, right? They're a season and they've been packaged. So, to me, Netflix is kind of, I think they're taking a huge stock, and their stock's going down. They're talking about losing over 1 million members, paying members. I don't know. I just think I think it's too soon. This is a company that's jumping the shark of where the yes, of course, media is dead. Yes, of course, discs are going away. But I feel like they're kind of jumping it too soon. I feel like you built up a brand pretty well over the last years. You've built up all this, thing of people understanding that, oh, Netflix, that's that place you can get streaming, or you can get the physical media. And now they're going to split it out. I think everybody's going to go, what's this Quickster thing? Like, just general people, not people who are doing podcasts on cloud computing.
People who are listening to this podcast.
Who are probably asleep at this point. But anyway, that's interesting news. All right, then we got some Salesforce. The last piece is 2 pieces of Salesforce news. We're actually going to talk about Winter 12. But before that, Salesforce actually bought Assistly.
They did.
This week.
I've never heard of Assistly before this week.
Me neither.
But I know that they were at Dreamforce with a product that they were demonstrating.
A connector to Salesforce. I saw a demo today.
Right. So it's like a Zendesk competitor, right? And considered a social service desk.
It looks very... everything I can see that it does, that the Facebook and Twitter integration does for Salesforce, it does all of that. There's a couple things that I thought were neat. One is it does for voice. So you actually call into it and it'll record it and then put it into your conversations view. And there's one other thing. They connect up with something. They connect up with Salesforce, which is nice. And they kind of have an interesting model where you can kind of like have everybody have availability to it. But all the social profile stuff, the Twitter, the tweeting back, the capturing, they even connect with Salesforce. So they can pull up an account or pull up a contact and show you. All great stuff.
They have some decent clients, too.
I can't tell why they bought it I feel like there's some underlying technology that they bought it for. Maybe it's just to make that package better, right? Because basically they have everything that Assistly does.
That Salesforce for Social package,
yeah,
is just okay. There's nothing special about it.
Right.
There's nothing easy to use about it. It's okay. It works. It connects social networks to Salesforce in the most rudimentary of ways. This maybe will help.
You're giving me the look like I'm holding back on what I really want to say.
Holding back a little bit.
Yeah, really?
A
Why?
little bit. No,
you're holding back from our audience?
Not really holding back.
You're holding back. You're giving me the look like you're holding back.
I've installed the Salesforce for Social package for a few clients. I've installed it in our production org to use to support our product.
Yes.
Okay? And there's nothing automated about it. There's nothing... The things that you'd want it to do, it doesn't do. You have to click lots of buttons to get things to do what you want them to do, and I feel like that could be better.
Well, this, from the demo I saw, it looks pretty slick. It looks really nice. It also looks Web 2 or 3.0, like it's very slick and Ajax-y, not even Ajax, jQuery, and like everything's kind of just happens in line, very quick. You know, like when they first showed us Chatter and like people would respond, it would show up instantly, just like that.
I remember that.
Yeah, remember that?
Safe Harbor.
Almost a year ago.
2 years ago.
I'm going to wear my Safe Harbor t-shirt.
2, my friend.
Is it almost 2 years ago now?
I announced Chatter almost 2 years ago. If I look at on our wall in our podcasting studio / office, I have the History of Dreamforce infographic from Marketo, the blog post that got taken down. But since I was on it,
I was about to say,
face is on it.
Let's all claim why you have this.
Well, my face is on it. I'm a Dreamforce tweeter.
So you have a picture of yourself.
Picture of myself, but it's really a cool infographic. And if I look at it, Chatter was announced in 2009. This was 2011. Yep. So 2 years ago.
Yeah.
Chatty was first on the stage.
Chatty. All right, so I mean, it's another line of things. I think we're slowly seeing things come in. You know, we're seeing things from last year get built into stuff now, and so this. Hey, I know when Assistly will show up. It'll show up in winter 13.
Yeah, whenever.
Dreamforce 12.
Right. We'll see it in next Dreamforce. We'll see the next version of Salesforce for Social that won't be an App Exchange product. It'll actually be part of.
Speaking of releases,
I wrote a blog post
about
Winter 12 release rapid reaction. This is my running series now. I've written many rapid reactions because I make these reactions rapidly.
Yes.
I read the release notes, signed up for a pre-release org, and started playing, and I picked my 5 favorite things.
All right, so give me 2 of your 5.
Oh, that's so hard.
No, because I want people to go to the podcast. Go to the blog.arkusinc.com and read the blog post.
All right, let me give you my 2 favorites.
2 favorites.
Permission sets.
Oh, come on.
It's an easy one for me.
Really?
I love permission sets. I just love them.
Yeah,
they're going to make everyone's life so much easier.
It'll make this podcast 17 hours long. If you don't know what permission sets are, type in permission sets into Google, and I think we come up with their result. So
you'll find it.
On it.
Or you can go watch my Dreamforce session called I Heart Permission Sets, a deep dive into Profiles 2.0.
Wow.
That's a mouthful. And I think my second favorite, there's so many good. I wrote 5. I'm going to pick the analytics ones. Okay. So there's some good analytics changes in this upcoming release.
I did see that.
And the new reports tab is so much better than the reports tab has ever been. It's remodeled. It's not intimidating. You know, the reports tab is really intimidating for people when they click reports.
Really?
You click on that tab, and if you have more than a few folders on that page,
boom!
It's just a list of reports that people, end users, are just like, this is scary. How do I even create one? And it's like not. They just don't know how to even do it.
I got you.
So much easier now. You click on the tab. It's clean. There's nothing in the middle. The folders are nice on the left. There's filters and searches. You can create a report or a dashboard from the reports tab. You can get to the dashboard folders from the reports tab. Much, much cleaner. That's, for me, a big productivity boost.
Good.
So those are 2.
The other one that I think is probably not going to make a lot of. It's probably not going to make a lot of. Which is the filters on dashboards.
Oh, that one.
Filters on dashboards is unbelievable, useful because you find yourself making what it is within a dashboard, instead of instead of having to build 2 dashboards or 3 different dashboards to show 3 different sort of filters of the same data, you can then, within the dashboard, just filter it.
I couldn't build one in my pre-release org.
Yeah.
I don't know why. I just couldn't even. I could not build.
A lot of the stuff that I thought was going to be in there isn't there. The 2 things I want to talk about, which I think are interesting.
I have one thing I really want to talk about.
Go for it.
Oh well. Okay. So the social contacts.
Yes.
So in my pre-release org, I had the social contacts. I had them turned on.
Nice.
I went to go use them, and I had a couple surprises.
Okay.
So first off, Twitter worked great. Let me throw that one out there. The Twitter integration worked fantastic.
Probably one of the best APIs out there on the internet in terms of connectivity.
It did exactly what I wanted it to do.
Okay.
I went to the Mark Benioff contact, because the Mark Benioff contact always exists in these demo orgs.
Yep.
I clicked the Twitter thing. It said log me, authenticate me via OAuth. I clicked the button. I was already logged in the browser, so it just logged me right in.
Right.
Flipped me right back to the Mark Benioff contact and said, which one of these is the ones you want? Because there's a bunch of Mark Benioff like tests and things. I chose at Benioff. It instantly connected the 2, and then I could click a button that says use this photo as his photo, and then anytime I clicked the little Twitter icon, I just saw his tweets right there. Worked exactly how I thought it should work. There's some things that probably should be built in, like let me reply to him, do all those kinds of things. That wasn't there.
I'm sure Twitter doesn't want that, but okay.
Well, they have the Salesforce for social. If you want, you can then use that to like reply to conversations.
The one that you just said wasn't up to speed.
I didn't think is very good. It should be built right into the app.
So what you're saying is you hate it.
I didn't say I hated it. So now these other 2, Facebook and LinkedIn, had an issue with. First off, let me start with Facebook. It did not work. I could not get it to work. No, that's a big issue. You shrug your shoulders. That's an issue. I could not get it to work.
It's pre-release.
No, pre-release, it's like, this thing should work.
How many browsers did you try it with?
2. Did not work.
Neither one?
Either one.
Safari? You tried Firefox?
I tried Safari and Chrome. 2 supported browsers. And I clicked log me in.
Yeah.
And it would... Presumably, it like flipped to the OAuth page, like, hey, we're going to log you in. And then it flipped to the Salesforce login page with me logged out. I log back into Salesforce, not connected to Facebook. I try again, it does the same thing. I try again, it does the same thing. Did not work.
Yeah,
big gripe.
It's a bug they'll fix.
I know, but pre-release, that's pretty close. Like it's
we're days away from
the first sandboxes. Like, although I couldn't find social contacts in a sandbox, so maybe it's not in sandboxes.
Yeah, it's not in sandboxes. It's not in the sandboxes that I've seen.
Me neither. And the third one, which it might be the third one that I have the biggest gripe with, is the LinkedIn. And I didn't even know about this till someone posted it in one of the chatter groups in the Dreamforce app. I think it was one of my fellow MVPs in the MVP group.
It's still in that group.
It's a group. People post to it.
Still there.
So I didn't even realize it, but you don't get much with that LinkedIn integration. You know what you get? You get the person's photo.
Nice.
You get their name, which you already know clearly.
Clearly.
And you get their title, which you presumably know.
I don't mind any of that, but what I mind is what you're about to say.
What I'm about to say is,
we've had this conversation.
There's a button that says, if you want more, click here to upgrade. I'm like, upgrade? I'm on Salesforce. I booted up an unlimited edition of Salesforce for my pre-release org.
Unlimited.
Unlimited tastes good.
With some limits.
Yeah. So I click the button. I'm like, what's this all about? I click the button, and it prompts me to purchase LinkedIn for Salesforce, LinkedIn's app, for $29.99 per user per month. And it walks me through a demo of all the things I'm going to get.
Right.
Mind you, slick app.
Right.
Very cool.
Right.
Brings in tons of LinkedIn data. Bring in the professional graph. Right? As they just kept calling it the professional graph. And you'd see,
that's an expensive graph.
They walk through, like, you know, a saleswoman walks through this scenario of, I'm here on Johnny's contact or lead, and I'm looking to selling to their company, and I'm looking to figure out, how do I know him? Oh, I'm second connections to him because I know this person. And this is all in a Salesforce screen and a couple different widgets. Oh, wow, okay, I didn't know that this person worked there anymore. Let me go find out about that. It looks like this person reports to that person. Oh, that's so useful. I can skip the lead that I had because he's not a decision maker. I can go up the ladder and yada, 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 and this, that, and the other, and brings the whole thing together. Great. But for $30 a month? $30 a month a user? For something that they showed us on the stage? That's deceitful. That's downright deceitful.
That's 10 lattes.
That is utterly disappointing. Now I'm not holding back.
Yeah,
that's
really.
disappointing.
Is it as disappointing as Facebook and Twitter integration?
You know what? No. Okay. And I'm actually more upset at the one where they're trying to charge me $30 to get more than a picture than the one that didn't work. I'd rather the thing not work because I know they'll fix it.
Right. Well, that's why when you're going through your thing, I was like, I don't really care that something doesn't work because, again, I do think they'll fix it.
How do you go about this? $30 a user a month? What if I have 100 users?
I also don't.
What if I have 1,000 users?
I don't care that it's. Here's the thing. I don't actually care that it's pay. I just, because if you want to do that, that's great. What I do not like is that when you demo this stuff and you put that big safe harbor and you demo it, they don't talk about that. And so all these people go home to all their little things. I don't mind this $30. That's great. But and I know I'm going to make an Apple analogy. Everybody out there's going to go, oh, here goes Jason again with the Apple analogy. When they put up the phone or the new iMac or the new iPad, they at the very end go two things that you want to know. What? The price.
When and how much.
And they tell you. And they don't sugarcoat it. And they're not like, well, or this is going to be free. Not really. They tell you the price and they tell you when it's available. And it bugs me that half these other companies that do this whole like, it's this cool thing. Well, when's it available? I don't know. How much is it gonna cost? Oh, I don't know. And then later it's like, oh yeah, by the way, it's gonna cost some money and it's not available for 2 years.
They started with content.
Yep.
It actually then they turned content free, which I think they had to do because of Chatter. That's my thought on it, because they were using some Chatter things with the files.
I think no one was spending $35 a month for content.
People probably weren't buying it, and then secondly, they were probably reusing a bunch of it in the Chatter files and realized, we pretty much have to make content free. Then they did it with Knowledge, and Knowledge is still not free. Right. And they demo Knowledge constantly.
Right.
And it looks hot. Right. It looks great. When you're up there and you're walking through that knowledge, solving that problem, it looks awesome.
Right.
And now they continue moving with, I know one of your bigger gripes, I think, from the Winter 12. This is like the gripe show.
I know, this is the winter of our discontent.
I really liked the Winter 12
I was
release
actually going to name this title the Winter of Our Discontent.
I really liked the winter release. These are just things, I guess the things you don't like, you get more passionate about than the things you like. I mean, there's tons of things that we really love.
About, right.
But one of the things that caught my attention that I wrote about in the blog post that I know caught your attention was Siteforce.
Oh yeah, Siteforce is a charge.
Because Siteforce looks hot too, right? Hey, you have a web developer who develops all these assets, right? The HTML, the CSS, the JavaScript, the images, the graphics.
Import it all, works, drag and
drop, import it. Boom, there's all your assets. Drag them onto a palette. Type up your text. Lorem ipsum your butt off.
What's the price of Touch?
I don't know.
Oh,
I think it's going to be free.
I think
he said free, didn't he?
See, this is the thing. This is why I would, again, Mark Benioff and I don't get together for lunch very often.
Oh, really?
But if we were...
you know what? Next time I see him, I will talk to him.
Maybe he's in the Dreamforce portal in the MVP section.
He's not, actually.
What I would say to him is, listen, if you have to hide it, if you have to bury the price and bury the release date, you shouldn't be announcing it. Right, then that is clearly something that, because when something's free, they stand at the top of their lungs and scream. Like when they announced content was free, or Chatter is free and Chatter free. They actually built a Super Bowl ad to talk about Chatter. It's free, but when something's priced, they don't talk about it. It's like I think if you're pricing something, you should be willing to. And again, this is to every company out there. You should be don't hide it. If you have to hide it, something's wrong. A Boeing 747 costs $2.2 million. I don't know what it costs.
Really?
But it costs a lot of money. The point is, That's the price. You don't have to hide the fact that it's the price. If it's $30 a month, you should be proud of that and should be delivering value for $30 a month. Don't hide it in the keynote. Same thing with knowledge, same thing with chatter or content or whatever it is, same thing with an iPad. Get up there and say, it's $4.99 and it's great. And you're going to love it at $4.95. Get up there and say, it's $30 per user per month and you're going to love it at that price because it's great value. I have no problem charging it. I hate when they kind of go around it and they put it as a sub line like Siteforce. Please go talk to your thing.
Yeah.
We don't even know what it costs.
As I mentioned in the blog post, which you're surely going to now read,
blog.arkusync.com.
blog.arkusync.com.
Company man.
We need some sound effects for that.
Company man.
Now we're digressing.
Yep. The banter.
It didn't actually say Siteforce is not free.
No.
It didn't say you're going to have to purchase Siteforce. But what it did say is that you have to contact Salesforce to get Siteforce licenses. There's a difference. They didn't say you're going to have to buy those licenses. They said you have to contact them to get them.
Why would I ever put all thousands of people to go talk to a bunch of sales reps if there's nothing for them to sell?
I don't know.
Maybe
Maybe there's an upsell or something.
Maybe. So two other things. Let's go. Two other things.
I had my one other thing. So you keep
some
going.
positive
I know.
things.
Well, mine was positive too.
I want to go. I want to
go positive.
I'm going to go two more negative, then we're going to have tons of positive.
All right.
Because we're just blowing this podcast out of the water.
Man.
Here we go.
We're going to get some really bad feedback.
Two negative things. Well, we've had friends of the podcast come and say that they had rebuttals to some of the things we said in
and they won't come on the podcast.
No, well then forget it. If it's not in the open, we don't want to talk about it. So two things. One is I thought a little sneaky thing, which I don't know what the implication of it is. The trash that the recycle bin is only 15 days now.
Yeah.
And less space. It's like 250 meg, used to be 500 meg, I think. Interesting. That's, if you gotta take that math and times it times whatever, that's a lot of space that they're saving. I don't really mind that. It's not a big deal. I think 15 days is not really a lot of time, but whatever.
To me, that's not a big deal at all.
It's not. But considering I train so many people and say it's 30 days, and now I kind of go, oh yeah, it's 15 days. Whatever. The second one is the content thing, is the content presentation builder that they've now killing off, basically. Decommissioning. I don't mind.
We actually mentioned this like 3 weeks ago. Like, why did they even have this feature?
Yeah, well, why'd they build it? Because it demo's great, but it doesn't whatever. And well, I think it demoed great and it probably sold great and probably sold content licenses when you're doing it. Because look, it's this great feature you get, and that's why you're going to pay your $35.95 per month. Here's the thing. I don't mind them taking off a feature. I think that's the way to keep companies lean. I think there's, even our beloved Google Wave, that Google is going to, so good.
Man, so good.
So good. That Google is going to kill off a year ago.
Maybe.
It's still there.
We still have it.
Save the Wave.
Although I must say, I did invite someone to a Wave who has their own domain.
Yeah.
And she couldn't get in.
Oh.
She couldn't actually access the Wave.
I think you always have to have Gmail. You have a Google app.
It was her Google Apps account.
Oh.
She couldn't access the Wave using it.
So the point is that, like, I get why companies do it. I get being lean, and I get saying, listen, these things didn't work, and I praise Google for doing things like that by saying these things are just not going anywhere. We're gonna S-can them, right? We're gonna take them out to the back of the shed and put a bullet in their head and say we're gonna move on to better stuff, and we'll put that technology somewhere else. I like that, but I do not like doing that in a very short time frame, because people who have dedicated a lot of their time or put their business process around that, I mean, they've basically given someone 6 weeks notice on here's something you've been using is going away, right? It's going away as of winter 12.
Yeah.
That's 6 weeks notice.
There's no like remnant of it. Like there's no grandfathering in because the presentations are built. That
I think is a problem. What happens if you had an entire sales team that did nothing but build these presentations or something and using them daily to do that?
Well, they can still use the presentations. They just can't use that technology to
what
put
happens
the
that's
presentations
built into
together.
your business process. That's what they do. You have a company who goes out and does custom presentations to people all the time. They use this presentation builder to build these things, and and all 500 of your salespeople are using this daily to build their presentations and going out. It's part of the business process. Now they have to go back to copying and pasting in PowerPoint. Again, outlandish, example, but I don't mind the killing off. I think, Google's given us over a year, probably too much, on the wave. Don't even talk about it. No, I think the podcast, here's the thing. The podcast that we forget to talk about Google Wave is the day that they'll kill it. Yeah. They'll just turn it off. But 6 weeks, I don't think.
But clearly they've done some analyses and they know that there's like 8 people using this feature in the world.
6 weeks is too much.
What if nobody was using it?
If nobody's using it, they can
literally no one.
Well, fine. But I know people who on Twitter were saying, I'm pissed. I was actually using
one person.
Well, that's one of my followers. So, of 100 followers who have Facebook, that's a 10%.
What's this Facebook you mentioned?
Oh, sorry, Twitter. Anyway, I just think 6 weeks is too little. Don't you? Couldn't you say like it's going to be gone by summer 2012?
Yeah.
Two releases.
What's the big deal in keeping it around? Unless there are things that they're doing with content and files, because files are slowly but surely just becoming content.
Right.
That will break this thing.
Here's another thing. If you're going to kill things off like that in 6 weeks, why not kill off something like docs or documents?
You can't.
But that's the thing. Like, they're killing off the stuff that's easy, but they're not taking on the effort to go do the stuff that's hard that we want them to do. I want you to get that thing right with content and docs and files and get it right. But they're not doing that. They're killing off this easy kind of like low-hanging fruit.
Well, it might be that it's not that content builder, presentation builder thing would break, meaning with some of the things that they're doing, they would have to continue to fix the content builder, if you will.
Yeah, maybe.
Because, it only pulled things from content, not from files, so then they would have to enhance it, and instead of enhancing something that nobody uses, they're killing it off.
It just sounds like content's going away very quickly.
Yeah, I mean,
there's like 2 concepts that are left.
There's the feature that I wrote about, the file sharing from Chatter files, which is just totally taking over the content delivery
I
method.
Want 3 positive things out of the winter level.
Well, there you go. File sharing for Chatter files,
and no more looking at your blog posts.
What do you mean? They're on my blog post.
All
right, so file sharing for Chatter files.
That's one positive. Love it.
Yeah, it takes a much easier way to share files externally.
Yep.
Using Chatter. I think the approvals is going to be a big one.
Chatter approvals. Very cool.
If you're going to change the way people work, then let's really change the way people work.
Yep. I think it'll make the mobile stuff much easier.
Yeah, I mean, I haven't done one yet. Like, I didn't build an approval process in my pre-release org, but, one day it's going to come where I'm going to have to build an approval process, and the question will be asked, how would you like to tell somebody that they should approve this thing?
Right.
And would you like it via Chatter? Would you like it via email? How would you like it?
Right. If I do it via Chatter and it sends them an email that tells them they can do it, can they reply to the Chatter email to reply?
I have no idea how it works.
Okay.
I haven't really dug into it, but it seems like a very good concept. And the third thing is the customer groups. I was playing around with that in the pre-release, and there was one thing about it that I found quirky and interesting was that I couldn't maybe this will come in future releases of it. I'll say it worked great. I was able to invite somebody into. I had to first say this group is available for customers. It has to be a private group. Then you can check off a box that customers can be in it. Then you can invite people into it that are within your company, and then you can invite external people. It was a little weird because to invite the external person, you had to click a button and type in their email address. But I'm presumably including somebody who's already a contact in my Salesforce. So I'd love to just be able to pull from a list of contacts and say add these people, or go to their contact and have like a related list of groups that they're in and say add to group. Which group? These 3 go. But maybe that'll come later.
My 3 are.
Someone put that on the exchange. I'll vote for it.
Chatter, the Chatter Now. Really excited about Presence. Don't see it in there.
So, I didn't see that.
I'm very excited about it.
Okay.
I'm very excited about Touch. No, I'm just kidding. I'm kidding. It's a joke. Well, the one thing that I don't know if when I read them over on vacation, so I might have been drinking rum punches when I read them. But I saw the other day, I was like, what is this? I turned to you and I'm like, what is this? And you're like, I've never seen that either. it's the new Force.com floating menu system.
Oh yeah,
which
the little floater.
I started to play with, and I was like, oh, this is fun. Oh, it's kind of annoying. And then when I'm sitting on a page and it goes add field, I'm like, oh, this is the best thing ever. Just to have sitting on a page and go add field, that alone saves me 10 hours of my life a year.
Did you play with the schema builder?
I have not played with the schema builder.
It chokes on big schemas.
Oh, okay.
Like, you know,
what?
Oh, we have a customer who has over 100 objects in their org, and it doesn't want to load that.
Oh, it doesn't?
No, it doesn't.
It said no.
I mean, you can say just load these 4, and it'll load that, but it won't load the whole org.
So overall, I know we went a little negative.
We did.
We went a little,
but I thought it was the best release notes in a long time.
And I think it's a good release. There's a lot of stuff in there. There's new forecasting, which I can't wait to play with. There's a lot of stuff in there that I think is we're all gonna look around. And like the last couple felt a little light. If the release notes writers really knew, they would just throw in empty pages, because we do look at the pages. Like I think we stacked them up. Page numbers. So just start like literally throwing in like pictures of people. Like, hey, these are the 20 people who worked on Chatter. Mm-hmm. Here's a bio for each one of them. Because, so anyway, so that's winter. Let's get to our CloudFocus App Play of the Week. Let's make it a little quick, because we're now deep into a 46-minute podcast.
Wowzers.
And we have other things to do. So let's go.
All right, so as I mentioned, got mine from Twitter, Andy Oganoff.
Yep.
Fellow Salesforce MVP, @Oganoff. You can find him. He's mentioned me a few times. You can find him out there, I'm sure. We were talking about like passwords and having multiple passwords for multiple orgs and having to store them somewhere or know them, we have our method for storing passwords, but
we're not going to talk about.
And Andy mentioned a program called RoboForm. And RoboForm is an app. I have it running on my Mac, but it will work on Windows, and it plugs into different browsers.
Okay.
And it works with, it's working with Safari right now, but it works with Chrome or Firefox. Mm-hmm. And what it does is, it's not just for logins. It'll remember, based on what web page you're on, it'll remember form entries. Okay. So if you have a form that you're constantly filling out on the web, you can save that.
Right.
But obviously, usernames and passwords are like forms that you fill out constantly on the web. Correct. So you can save them in your logins folder. You can save identities, so you can use different identities, like my home versus my work.
Nice.
And have different passwords for each. And it's a free trial, which I'm using right now, and then it's $9.99 a month, which I probably won't pay.
No, I don't think you will.
Especially since that's only for the first 12 months, when it then goes up to $19.99 a month. So they'll get me for the free trial, and you should try it yourself if you have about 50 passwords you're managing.
Right.
You can give it a shot. There are plenty of other products that do this kind of thing, but I took mine from the Twitter.
Yeah, I'll give you two. The one is the one that Aperio built into Chrome, the Chrome extension.
But that's just Salesforce login.
Okay, so that's one. Another Salesforce login one is Trapdoor, written for the Mac OS. I actually don't use it, but it's nice because you can assign key commands to it, and you can say like open this, and it'll ask you which browser, so you can like shoot a username and password from into one browser or another, and it'll log you in there.
This also has a mobile component to it. It syncs across devices.
There's also 1Password, which I've heard is really, really good, but I haven't used it. I've heard it's like amazing, but I've never used it. It's like one of those things that like all the Merlin bands, they talk about it all the time. But anyway, all right, so I'm gonna make mine quick. This is actually something I just thought of as I was making picks. This isn't very cloudy.
No, this isn't.
But I think this is one of those things that, and probably
this is like 90s.
Well, I'll tell you why. I'm picking this. Because my daughter just started in technology class in first grade, and they started to learn how to type.
Oh.
And it's bugged me for the last couple of years that they spent, and this is just me, and that's one of those weird opinions. They spend a lot of time learning how to handwriting and write the words and write the letters. And part of me, a small part maybe, but part of me says writing it's like learning how to make a mixtape on a tape. It's like writing is going away. It's an old art form. It's a wonderful one, and I'm sure it means something, but part of me feels and believes that the actual handwriting down on pieces of paper is a dying art form. Just like calligraphy used to be very popular, no longer. So, but typing is very important. I mean, I spend 15 hours a day with my hands sitting on this keyboard.
That's pathetic.
And the ability to actually type fast and type better is very important. So she's talking about it, my daughter, and I said, well, let's go find you a typing game, that we can learn how to type. And I found the number one. It's been out forever. It's Mavis Beacon Touch Typing. It's available.
Mavis Beacon.
It's literally been around for a day.
That's how I learned how to type.
Yep.
Mavis. Good old Mavis.
And I started playing with it this morning. I played a couple rounds.
You purchased this?
I purchased it.
It's $40.
Yep.
Wow.
I'm not cheap. And
for this, I wouldn't pay $40.
Well, and again, it's got some nice new features. It's got like a menu item in Mac that it can actually, you can pop it open anytime and do like a typing test. You can do like a speed thing.
Do you have it on your laptop?
I do.
Can we compete? Like,
maybe.
See who can type
better?
I
can type faster than you.
Oh, no, you can't.
Yeah, I can.
Not with errors.
Yeah,
I can type faster than you without errors.
No.
You will error.
Yeah, but I will recover and then type faster than you.
No, you won't.
Yeah. Anyway, $40. $40.
You want to put this on the board?
Wow.
Another one? Because we can do that.
Let's round up this podcast, and then we will talk about that later.
We'll let them know next week.
We'll come back next week. So anyway, Mavis Beacon Touch Typing is available in the Mac App Store. It's available for PC. It's available for everything. It's been around for a dog's age. They got some nice new stuff. It's a little on the expensive side, but it's what's nice is that you can boot it up. You can play like a quick game and because typing is something that I think you should just keep trying to get better at, because it literally it can turn your workday from a 10-hour workday to an 8-hour workday if you can really type well and use key commands and stuff. So anyway, Mavis Beacon Touch Typing, $40. Is that what it is?
$39.99.
$40 on the App Store. So that's it. So go to blog.arkusinc.com, subscribe by RSS. Actually, now just remember, you can comment using discuss on any blog post or any podcast. So if you want to leave comments, you can do it right there in line of the actual podcast. So you can do it right there. Yep. Try that. Follow the company at arkusinc.com. Follow me at Arkus Inc. Follow me at Jason M. Atwood on Twitter. Justin's at Just Edelstein. We're all on Facebook, just Arkus Inc. We're on Facebook. And then subscribe to the podcast on iTunes. Leave a good review. We would love that, especially if you like to have 57 or 53-minute podcasts. And until next time, well, next week, I guess, enjoy those cloudy days.